ओ यार मेरी मम्मी ने मैसेज करा यार sushi is here यार sushi लाए हैं यार ये लोग मुझे खाना पड़ेगा यार.
Hey guys, welcome back to another.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
As I was saying,
Oh, that's so good.
welcome back to another episode of YouthCast. Today we're going to be talking about quite an interesting topic, in my opinion. Huh. Hey guys, welcome back to another.
No,
episode.
that we cut it and put it as a cold open. No,
Yeah, I know.
that's
I
fine.
know. Now you interrupted me
Okay.
again for the third time.
Sorry.
Hey guys, welcome
Okay.
back to another episode.
Oh man, wasabi.
Hey guys, welcome back to another.
Okay, start.
Okay, go
Hey
ahead.
guys, welcome back to another episode of YouthCast after an extremely long time. Today we're going to be talking about something the three of us find pretty interesting. It's about how the internet, or more specifically Reddit, took down Wall Street.
That was crazy.
So I'm-
dude. That was
Yes, I'm sure like a lot of you guys have seen these random terms floating around: shorting stock, Wall Street bets, and like I was pretty like unaware of whatever was going around too, because it does seem really complex and all financy bank stuff. Like I'm a humanities kid, I don't know this stuff, right? So it was really confusing at first. So we all put in our
sure.
bits.
Yeah. That's what we're here to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we all put in our bits of research, and I think we've more or less figured out what exactly it is. So we're just going to be talking about what it is, how it happened, what it means for us, and like just talking about what we think about everything in general.
I mean,
Okay, first
whatever.
I think we should explain what shorting is. So basically what happened is because of Wall Street doing this thing called shorting. Now what shorting is it's not, in layman's terms it's pretty simple. Someone borrows a stock, they don't actually own it, they just borrow it, and then they sell that stock and then buy it back to return it to whoever originally gave it to them.
So I watched this really interesting video by this guy called Johnny Harris, super talented creator, and he like
Link
did a
in
really
description.
good job.
No.
Yeah, he did a really good job of describing what exactly shorting is in like a very simple manner. So the way he went about it is like take a stock and compare it to a Pokemon card, right? So 1 year ago, a Pokemon card was worth $10, right? So you borrow that Pokemon card from someone.
Yes.
So you take the Pokemon card, you borrow it from one of your friends, and at that time it's worth $10. So you go on eBay and you sell it for $10. Now the only reason you borrowed and sold that stock was because you think it's a bad stock and its value is going to fall. So you think that 1 year later the value is going to be $5, right? So in the case that it's $5, 1 year later you can go on eBay, buy the same thing for $5, and give the card back to your friend. Except the thing is you pocket the $5,
Yes.
like the gap. So that's what actually
So-
Wall Street was trying to do. So there was this company called GameStop, which sells like physical video games, which obviously, given the fact that there's a pandemic going on and the fact that like no one buys games in person, was going out of business slowly but steadily. So Wall Street together collectively bet on the fact that GameStop was going to fail. So they were betting on the fact that GameStop shares would keep going down, and they were pretty low. They were around $10 or so, or maybe even lower, and they were progressively going lower and lower and lower. So that's what they were betting on. But basically what happened was a bunch of random Redditors on a subreddit, which was like a community of like-minded people called Wall Street Bets, they banded together and they bought so much of the stock. And when there's a lot of demand for something, the price also goes up. So essentially what happened was they bought so much of the stock that the price also went up. So imagine that the Pokemon card you sold 1 year ago for $10 is now worth $30. So Wall Street would have to pay the difference, which is $20 out of their own money, which is why Wall Street made like $70 billion in losses in a single day and other things like that.
Just to clarify any doubts that you might have of the situation, shorting is a very common practice. Even though it sounds illegal, it isn't. A lot of people, especially these big funds that you would find, what we connotate as Wall Street, are funds basically which are called hedge funds, and they have lots of money. And unlike the Pokemon card, which went from $10 to $5, typically stocks don't drop that low, but even small fluctuations in stock can help a fund instead of buying one Pokemon card, they're buying a billion of them, so to speak. And that's what happened with GameStop. And so now that we've given you a brief overview of what has happened, I think the large question at hand is not about GameStop, and what happened with GameStop was quite obscure. It became a Fortune 500 company, which is just weird to think of. But I think there are two things to look at. One, I think people didn't realize, like a lot of people who don't understand what happened with GameStop, people didn't realize how stocks work. Like, you would assume that a company who's doing really well, such as Apple, they would have a higher stock price and their stock price would increase, and let's say a new iPhone comes out. But the value of a stock often changes on the perceived value, right? Like, if like the GameStop stock went down, even if GameStop was doing well, because GameStop isn't predicted to do well in the future. Just like how Tesla is predicted to do well in the future, even though they're not producing as many cars right now. So that's why, as Swayam said, when the Wall Street hedge funds started betting against started betting that GameStop would go down, and the people of Wall Street started buying GameStop stocks. That was a tongue twister. Started buying GameStop stops. Okay, sorry. When they started buying the stocks, the perceived value of the stocks went up. Because typically when people buy stocks, they buy it because they want to make money, right? When you buy stocks in Tesla, you're hoping the stocks go up. Similarly, as many people buy stocks there, the perceived value of GameStop went up, and that's why a lot of people lost a lot of money in Wall Street. So that's generally what happened. Now, what are your guys' thoughts on the situation?
Well, like, one, I think it made me personally realize, like, I always knew this, but I don't think I'd really like come to terms with it or thought about it, is that like the price of things is basically whatever we're willing to pay for it, right? Like,
exactly.
And for like if you like relate this to fashion or something, like a Gucci t-shirt might not technically have much like technical superiority over a random 50 rupee t-shirt from a street, but it's just because the fact that we're willing to pay that 2,000 rupees or whatever for that t-shirt, it has that value. Same thing with diamonds, really. Like, they're a worthless piece of rock, but because we've assigned this value to that worthless piece of rock, it's worth something. So like, it's just weird to think about. Like, our entire monetary system is made up. It's like, it's all fake. It's all in our heads. And I think
this is exactly. So I think there was a quote somewhere. I'm not sure who said it.
Perceive it.
Exactly, and like, we say this in stocks and we think it's weird that we see it there, but as Swayam correctly stated, that it's in our daily lives as well, right? And I think I don't know who said this, but it was that money is the illusion that we all choose to believe in, right? Where, like, for example, if I have 10 rupees, I can't go and exchange that 10 rupees for, I can't go and exchange that 10 rupees for, let's say, I don't know, gold or something like that, which has like a fixed value. I can't just go up to somebody and like, hey, can I have that for that 10 rupees? Like, that 10 rupees, like, if you guys have ever read a 10 rupees note, I don't have it on me right now, but it literally says this note, it says something along the lines of the bearer of this note owes this person the value of 10 rupees. That's essentially what it is, where it's like, if you're in a playground and you're like, you just have a ledger of like, this person owes this much, and you've just written that on a piece of paper and given it to somebody. That's essentially what money is. And I think, that's a very weird sort of way to look at money, I guess.
Why don't we just print more money, guys?
The amount of people I've heard say that during lockdown. Oh man. Welcome to Economics 101, guys. I was about
one interesting tangent that we could go on is, like, I've seen this topic a lot on social media, where it's like, you have a bunch of people saying tax the rich, eat the rich, because obviously the rich of the world are very, 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 very rich. Like, I don't know the exact figures, but the 1% own more money than the 99%, right? So it's obviously like a very, 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 very big income gap, inequality, and all that stuff. So the question begs to differ: should we allow people to be so rich? Like, should governments and all allow people to be so rich when there are people starving in their own countries?
Okay, so I think there's a couple of things to look at here. One is the social aspect of it. Like where we've seen in the recent years in America, where it's come up with this thing of people are protesting and they have this idea of taxing the rich, and there's this, especially the last elections, there was this thing of like, should we allow billionaires to exist, etc., etc. And I think there are, like, the argument is not as one-sided as people make it out to be. Like I think there's this amazing video. Again, we'll link it in the description. It's pretty long. It's like half an hour, and it explains generally what economics is. And one of the things you realize there is a very simple concept: is that one man's income is another man's expense, right? Where like if I buy a chips packet, that is, for me, that's an expense. Like I'm spending money, but for the guy who owns the shop, that's his income. Similarly, if I had lots of money, I'm going to spend lots of money. Similarly, though people on the receiving end, that's money for them, right? So that's why I feel like when you talk about rich people, and I'm going to specifically talk about like people who generally like want to help progress the world, like people like Elon Musk or somebody who would want to progress and whatever, that's a separate conversation. But even generally rich people will buy things. Like that's a very easy assumption to make. And that's why there's this term called trickle down economics, where like if the rich person buys something from another person, that's their income, they will spend it more, and then that's their income. And so that money that the rich person has will so slowly trickle down to the lowest strata of lowest economic strata of society. So when people, like, I don't know, that's one aspect of it. I could go on and on, but I think we should take other views first.
Yeah, like I think that does make sense to a certain extent. Like if obviously if Jeff Bezos owns Amazon also has 100,000 employees around the world, right? So like he is generating employment, he's making sure people have food. But the thing is also the amount of money these guys have, it's unquantified. Like it's hard to think about. Like $90 billion is so much money. It's unreal. And not all of that 90 billion is directly going to those workers, or not all of that money is trickling down eventually. A lot of that is being, I wouldn't say hoarded, but it's not being used for good, or it's not being used to provide employment, right? A lot of it's just stored.
But do you think that someone like Jeff Bezos having $90 billion, is it like, do you think it's like necessary for him to hand over it, so like let's say 80% of that 90 billion down to his workers?
So personally, like I have like, I think morally, if you're like super rich, you should be doing it. Like I think Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and all, they have this organization where they've pledged to give 50% of their money to charity.
But
by
that's
the end
not
of their
the
life.
Question though, is it?
But the thing is,
like,
should they have to, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
like
my
I think there's a very big difference between like the moral ethics of it and like should they need to.
Someone can choose to be a charitable person and donate their money or whatever income they've generated over the years to a certain cause. But do you think the government should impose that on people and say, okay, you're making an X amount of money, you have to give 1/3 of that X amount of money to this cause?
See, okay, so I have two things there. So first is, I think the question is not what the people do with the money. I think the question, like when we speak about should billionaires exist or should we tax the billionaires or whatever, I think the question largely is, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, is it correct to have a system in which this is incentivized? And like what I'm trying to say is, if you look at any billionaires that we have now, if you look at the top 100 billionaires list, and I'm going to remove the people who've got it from like heritage because somebody else has earned it for them, and people I'm saying who've become billionaires themselves, not inherited the money.
Self-made, like Kylie Jenner.
Self-made.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? These people, like in a capitalistic economy, in a free market, these people have provided products and services that people are willing to pay for. And that's how they've made their money. So when people go like, oh, this person has so much money, yes, that's like, for example, let's take the example of Amazon. If Jeff Bezos did, like, if you didn't incentivize being rich and making money, and if you didn't incentivize goods and services, then Jeff Bezos wouldn't have that much money. He has that much money because it's in return because his goods and services are good.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I don't get this entire thing of like if we lived in, let's say, like a, I don't know, French, what do you call it? Like before the Renaissance period of France, where there were like, what were those people? Feudalists or something. Yeah, feudal lords, where they were like making slaves work for their, like, see, in that sort of system, I completely agree where it's not fair for the 1% to have more than the 99% because they're exploiting the 99% also and they're not getting anything in return. But in a free market, it is in the benefit of the 99% that people are incentivized to give goods, services, and products to them. So I feel like that's a certain, maybe that gets shrouded in this entire angriness of,
I
we can't
think
have that.
so. Like, especially like relating it to America, because like everything just comes back to America, like since it's like the center of the free world or so. Like the entire idea of the American dream is like the fact that you work hard and you become rich, right? Yeah. But if you're working hard and then you become rich and then someone says, sorry, you can't be rich, bye.
Yeah.
Then like, why would I work hard in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's also a case of how much risk you're taking, right? I think I'm quoting from a Ben Shapiro video or something, so don't get mad in the comments. But when Samarth brought up the question of should we give it, like, should the person who owns the company give a certain percentage of the profits of the company to the workers? I think a question pops up of, it's not just the profits of the company, it's the fact that the founder took a risk, and that risk is being incentivized by giving them money. Like, if the company went down, the worker can just go to another company. The founder has lost everything, right? And it's that risk is directly proportional to how much your money makes. Similarly, as we spoke about in Wall Street bets and whatever, these people on Wall Street bets lose money every day. And it's the risk that they're taking that has eventually led them up to, and we slightly touched upon how this was manipulated and etc. And that's why this is such a big deal. But generally on the stock market, when you hear, I made this much money in 3 hours, where like I made $1 million or something, that's risk. And that risk is being incentivized. And whether that's a good thing or bad thing, we can discuss. But essentially, that's risk, and merit is generally what the capitalistic economy is incentivizing.
And no one will be willing to take that risk if, like, a large amount of their money is going away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think like another thing that like a lot of people don't realize is like when we say Bill Gates has $180 billion,
he doesn't have it in the bank.
Right?
He doesn't have it in the bank.
Right? Like,
oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
It's all in the form of shares and properties and other things like that, which don't exactly, like, you can't, like, it's all, once again, it's all imaginary, right? Like, it has value because we give it value. At the end of the day, these shares
that's true.
Are all in our head. So like when they say we want to give away like 5, even if he gives away 1%, that's still 1.8 billion. But himself, right? Jeff Bezos gets paid only $400,000 a year. That's his official salary as Amazon CEO.
It's like saying if your net worth was like your house, your car, and your other house, if you have rented a house or whatever, and all of your family's assets, and let's say you have, I don't know, 10% of that in the bank. It's like saying, then can you give away 1% of your entire net worth? No, right? That, and we don't really know the net worth of these people. I'm just putting it out there when people get hyped about like, oh, Elon Musk is now richest man in the world. He's not disclosed like, hey, this is all I own.
Or like for a day.
I think he is. Is he not?
I think he was when Tesla stock surged, and then like it went back down.
But like we don't know how much these people earn and all of that stuff. It's just a speculation that Forbes makes or whatever. Yeah. Like it's not like they show like, hey guys, this is how much I earn, this is how much I spend, and please figure it out. Like that's not. I don't know why people get so hyped about that. Anyways, continue.
So yeah, I think that's about it for like the billionaire debate, and I think we tried to give like a balanced perspective of both sides. Mm-hmm. Now, staying on the topic of money, since like we're just keeping this a money themed episode, so I think we try to give a balanced side of both the sides of the billionaire.
अरे बोल दिया तूने अब आगे चल.
Okay, okay guys, I wanted to keep it frank, Swam. Keep it frank. Keep it short and frank. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah. I think
just
that's
like
about
Frank
it
Lampard's
for
career at Chelsea. Right, moving on.
Football joke, nice football.
Yeah, we drew to West Brom, so I'm quite sad. Anyways, so I wanted to go back to what we were talking about not really what we were talking about, but like in a similar category about how social media has affected the cryptocurrency market and is I mean, as the slogan goes, Dogecoin to the moon. So I had a question for you guys about all of this. And okay, so we, in this current climate, we see a lot of these social media influencers or stars or whatever you want to call them go about and sort of tweet or put up a story about what they're investing in, what currency they're going for, what they think is going to go up. Now, when you think about that ethically, everyone is not going to be right? Like, not every single currency is going to go up. So, do you think ethically social media influencers should be advising people or sharing what they're doing with their money when they know they have so much influence over whoever views them as a celebrity?
Well, I think it's honestly like how you look at society, right? Like, if you think people are sheep who will blindly follow whatever their favorite stars are doing, I would say it has various repercussions, and more often than not, we've seen that it's true, right? People
Yeah,
will do
like
really,
you gave that example
really
of the
dumb things.
Pokemon card, right? Logan Paul bought a few boxes.
Oh, man.
What happened? Yeah,
Oh,
it's the same,
man.
same
Right? So like,
concept.
I think it's fine as long as like if they're sharing it, like sure, it's up to them, but they shouldn't be giving advice in any way or form. Like they're not financial advisors. They're dumb teens living in LA. They don't really know what they're doing.
Hey, that's
Keep it to yourself.
Easy
man.
there.
We are in Gurgaon.
Easy there.
We are in Gurgaon. Okay.
But
Yeah,
like, yeah, so I think
exactly.
you have to draw the line between like advice and just sharing what you're doing in your life, right? Because I guess that's kind of the point of social media. Like if I'm doing something cool, I'll put up a story about it. And if they think they're doing something cool by buying stocks and being rich, like sure, do what they want to. But just don't portray it as advice or make it like, oh dude, like you're also going to get rich if you do this. More often than not, you won't get rich and you will become bankrupt and your wife will leave you and no one will ever love you again.
Moving on. Yeah, I think there's a lot to uncover with cryptocurrency. Here's the thing. And okay, I don't. Did we speak about cryptocurrency or was it just financial?
No, we spoke about Wall Street bets and
The ethics.
talk, but like
Yeah, the ethics and so the newest boom. Again, okay, on one side, I think it's great that people are talking about like finance and personal finance at least, and there are some great people out there like Tanmay Bhatt is trying to do, as we have mentioned many times on the podcast, trying to again like Kunal Shah, the founder of Cred, is also trying to do something with. Speaking of cryptocurrency, it's I don't know. I think it's a bit of a like people again. There's so much about cryptocurrency that people don't understand. Like I feel personally, again, I'm not an expert, and obviously I don't have any money to invest, so I can't really explain about investing. But just the concept of cryptocurrency, I think. Okay, what do you guys think cryptocurrency is?
The way I
I'm just putting
understand
you guys on the spot.
cryptocurrency is that like normal money, the way it works is that it's insured by the government, right? You said, right? So like it's like it's all fiat money or token money, so to say, while cryptocurrency is direct person to person transfers without like you're essentially cutting out the middleman, which is like these institutions, financial institutions around the world. So like
So
like
you've
Bitcoin
mentioned
or
a
something.
feature. You've mentioned a feature that popularly would be known as decentralization of the currency, and I get that. But what do you guys think cryptocurrency is? Like, if you were to give me like a definition in classic Indian board terms for 1 mark.
a definition is not a classic Indian board term. It's just a word.
It is a
Googling cryptocurrency definition.
Jabra.
So I'm cheating in real life as well. My only thing is there's a lot of things that the word cryptocurrency, the word currency is in the name, so we'd obviously compare it to something like a dollar or a rupee or a yen. But I personally think that it's very similar to something, not very similar, but it's more similar to something like gold rather than it's like a currency for a number of reasons. Because although there's a word currency in it, and some places are accepting Bitcoin as a way of transferring money, there are a lot of features about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency which are unlike a normal currency. As you said, a currency can be regulated. Like for example, if the bank wants to print more notes, they can print more notes with discussion with the finance minister, etc., etc. But the very notion of, I can at least speak about Bitcoin, I don't know about the others, there are only 21 million Bitcoins, so to speak. Much like there is a limited amount of gold, there is a limited amount of Bitcoins. And unlike money, which you can just print forever and has obviously varying amounts of value, there's only a limited amount of bitcoins, and there are various other features like how, like especially in times like this where Bitcoin is very volatile, because there's no regulation on it. You will never see the currency that suddenly the currency you checked half an hour ago, now it's 100 times more. 100% more. Sorry.
There's no safe bet when it comes to crypto, unless you bought like
Exactly.
Bitcoin early or something. But
And it's not something like, and the thing is, I don't think that's entirely wrong, but in the sense that there's no safe bet. But it's not like from what I have read, and we'll put again links. I'll send the links, Samarth. There is no need to worry. From what I have read and seen, it's not. It's a very different type of investment than any traditional types of. Because I say link in description all the time, dude. Like I never present the links, but
what the hell are
there
you
will be link in
saying?
description.
You've gone on like 17 different tangents in 3 different
I
universes.
hate myself.
Okay,
I hate myself.
carry on.
I was just saying.
Don't worry.
क्या ही कर दिया मैंने?
Can I tell you?
I'll just say
can I
one
tell
thing
you
and
guys a
then
piece
we
of
can move on to a
trivia
discussion.
about cryptocurrency.
हाँ बोलो.
You know why it's called crypto?
Because it is protected by cryptography.
No, they use digital files as money, and the files are hidden.
By cryptography. This is the great content that you come to YouthCast channel for. Panning and zooming. Oh man. Yeah, okay. Basically, I'll just put it in short, sweet terms. Cryptocurrency is not like normal currency. Thank you. Thank you very much. You can quote me on that. It is it's something which can be taken as, like, for example, gold. Like, you don't, like, although you can trade gold for things, you cannot, like, it's not preferable
Basically,
to
what
go in
Yajat
the
is
shop
trying to
and
say
say,
is that cryptocurrency has its own medium of exchange, and it doesn't work like the US dollar or the Indian rupee. Right?
yeah. And that's why it can't be thought of like that. Like, a lot of people go like, oh, why should I buy Bitcoin? I can't go and buy chips with it. That was my...
Bro, imagine the people that did that. Like, when Bitcoin was like $1, they just spent 3 Bitcoin on like a packet of Lay's.
Man. Oh,
Did you guys
man.
hear about
That's
that guy who like had like some 1,000 Bitcoin or
he
something
forgot
on
his
like a pen
password.
drive or
He got it
something
on a
like
pen
that,
drive.
and then
Yeah,
he forgot
yeah.
his password. Yeah. Poor guy.
It was in a Big Bang Theory episode also.
Yeah,
where,
but like that's
Howard-
also one thing. Like, stuff like that can happen. Like, if you forget something about your bank, you can just call someone. If you do that with Bitcoin, it's over.
Yeah, and these are the things of, like, when people talk about decentralization, and I think this comes back to the point of, we didn't speak about this in when we spoke about GameStop, but when the entire GameStop situation happened, I think a bunch of people would have seen this thing called Robinhood, which is another place where you can exchange stocks for money
It's a lot of
and
hate.
trade in stocks. Yeah, because what they did was Robinhood clamped down and shut the trade with GameStop stocks, so that the value of GameStop couldn't go any higher, in order to protect, so to speak, the people who betted against it, who shorted it, the big hedge funds on Wall Street. And this is the very idea of decentralization, that no one body can predict or control Bitcoin like they can with other things. Like, tomorrow, the RBI essentially controls how the rupee works. There's no such body with Bitcoin. These are one of the appeals of Bitcoin, essentially, or any other cryptocurrency. Thank you for class. You can
But
be
like,
ended.
I think, do you think there will be a point where we're actually like able to have day-to-day transactions with Bitcoin?
I think,
like you
I
said,
don't
like
think
if you're
that's
in
the
a
point, though.
I think for that, like, people are too scared. Like, like Yajat said, the market with cryptocurrency is very volatile. It can go up, it can go down at any time. Now imagine one day you go to the supermarket, you don't have any cash, you decide to spend some Bitcoin. Next day it's 300,000 for one Bitcoin. Like,
Yeah, like I think this is just like my plain logic about, because right now I think I'm not sure, I think there are 18 million Bitcoins out or something like that, out of the 21 million, or
they mine a certain number per year or per month or something.
No, so I think we can check, it's 8 or 18 million or something like that. Basically, I think the rate of releasing the bitcoins will become slower, and I think there's some prediction of like the last bitcoin will be given at like 2340 or 140 or something like that, and I feel like at that point it'll become stabilized because whatever.
Okay, so
it's very
yeah.
huh
As of December of
yeah
last,
so
as of December of last year, 18.5 million have been mined,
yeah, exactly.
and there are 21 million in total.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
So I think it'll get more stable as time passes. But also I don't think that's the point. My personal prediction is that Bitcoin will become something like gold or like a mutual fund or something like that, where it's like it becomes like a safety thing in case of things happen. Like people often invest in gold because
an actual currency.
Yeah, like I feel like it's more exactly. I think it's also a case of like you can, in case of a war, for example, the value of gold still remains pretty much the same. Like in places like a pandemic, the value of gold is pretty much constant rather than a currency or something like that. That's why these people often invest in these sort of things. I think Bitcoin should become something similar.
But
and
like
other
the thing is,
cryptocurrencies, of course.
gold at the end of the day, even though they are similar, gold is still something tangible. Gold is something that you can see, something that you can feel in the hand, something you can make jewelry out of. Bitcoin is none of that. It's random file stored at a centralized server somewhere in a secretive part of the world. Like you can't. It's completely intangible, though, right? So like that's where I have a problem.
I heard a podcast once, and I think it sort of came to a point once where the guy spoke about how the last person in his family to see all of their wealth was probably like his great grandfather. Like let's think about your family, where like can you see all of your wealth? No, right? It's just a number on an app, right? I don't think that point is valid of like you can't see like, and the thing is that also has some advantages, right? Like you can buy 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin. What will you do with this much gold? Like, Bitcoin, you can put on a pen drive.
I guess so, yeah.
It's portable and all. So it's like there are advantages to it, but I do agree. There is a human tendency to look for something tangible.
But it's have you guys like read up about like the Bitcoin mining farms and all? It's pretty cool. They run like.
I read it up when I was trying to build a PC. Because Bitcoin mining, so to speak, not similar to gold mining, just the word is the same. It requires graphic cards and quite heavy use of computation. And that's why it's very hard to find a graphics card back in like 2016 or whatever. So, yeah.
So guys, that pretty much wraps this episode up. I hope you guys had fun because like these are all things we've always wanted to talk about, but it's just hard to talk about or like hard to like talk about it in simple terms without it getting all complicated. But yeah.
And also... we don't know a lot of things. We just read something. Like we're very similar to the audience actually. So the entire purpose of this podcast is not for you to gain knowledge, but just to feel like you're in a general friend conversation and they're speaking about things that's happening in the world. So
we're proud to announce that YouthCast is now a global podcast, and we've actually been streamed in over 30 countries now.
Alright boys, if you like this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the good stuff. Tell us what you think about all of this. Tell us what you think about cryptocurrency.
Yes. And please suggest topics. Oh my god. Can somebody suggest topics in the comments?
We have a few exciting guests lined up. However, we are currently in a state of exams. So, we shall be coming back at you within the next month or so, I think. But yeah, we're sorry we've been so inconsistent. I mean, there's nothing really I can say. We're all just lazy until we realize exams are next week. So yeah,
it's just every 1 month Swayam goes like, guys, we haven't uploaded in a while. We're like, yeah,
even I do it.
That's exactly it's just not me actually. Never mind. Okay.